The initiation of the rapid review of the UK government's graduate route is being undertaken by the Migration Advisory Committee. Students keen on pursuing education in the UK are now worried by this disheartening news. In today's Straight Up by edX Live with me, lovely Majumdar, we will further elaborate on the issue. The graduate route, also known as the post-study work visa in the UK, allows students to stay in the country unsponsored for 2 to 3 years depending on the course pursued, and without the need to possess a job or have a job offer. It also allows individuals to start their businesses. The policy was initially introduced in the year 2007 in the House of Lords, but was declared null in 2012 due to rising anti-immigrant sentiments. Later, with collective efforts of students and all those concerned, it was brought back but is now under review again. NISAU, or the National Indian Students and Alumni Union UK, is one of the associations that campaigned for it to be back and is at it again. We at edX Live spoke to NISAU chairperson Sanam Arora to gain deeper insights into the issue. Well, let's hear it from her.
At the NISAU, which is the National Indian Students and Alumni Union UK, we are the home away from home of all Indian students and young people in Britain. We then ran a 7-year-long campaign to bring the post-study work visa back, which did come back successfully in 2020. And unfortunately, it is now under review again because the government's concerned that there is some abuse of the graduate route visa. There is something called the Migration Advisory Committee, the MAC, which the Home Secretary here in the UK has asked to undertake a review of the graduate route, and a number of questions have been asked of the MAC to include in its analysis.
NISAU's efforts are quite consistent, and to renew their efforts, they have launched a new Fair Visa, Fair Chance campaign.
We have launched something called Fair Visa, Fair Chance, which is now the second time we're launching this campaign in the space of a decade, to defend the graduate route, because 70% of Indian students have told us that post-study working ability is a #1 driver of the decision to choose between an Australia or a Canada or a UK or another destination. And the ability to have work experience for a few years after completing their studies, I know is really, really important to a number of Indian students, and significant numbers of students have told us that. So we've been gathering evidence from across Indian students and graduates all over the UK who've studied in British universities and possibly have worked in British companies or other international companies here in the UK. We have fed this information into the review, the official review. So we were one of those who the UK government invited to provide evidence into the Migration Advisory Committee's review. I've given multiple rounds of evidence and tried to really help unpack a number of the questions that the Migration Advisory Committee has about, who is using the graduate route, what are their intentions, what experiences they had, etc., etc. So we've really tried to help unpack a number of these questions and dimensions and considerations for them.
But can such a policy put an end to the dream of having a lucrative career in the UK? Jill Shade, National Officer of NISAU and a PhD scholar at the Hertford University in Edinburgh, talks about how, if the policy is taken off the table, it can discourage students to study in the UK.
International students spend enormous amount to come here, and they pay 3 times the fees that a local student would pay, and they also cover up for the underfunding of local students within the universities. And to not get a graduate route and to not get an opportunity of getting a work experience means they wouldn't get most out of their degrees. And it's really concerning because they take huge amount of loans and even mortgage their houses and put their houses as collateral to even come here and afford the education in UK. And if they don't get a chance to recover some of those funding and not even get an experience, the UK degree might not be as aspiring for them to come, so they might go to other countries.
Ashraf Nihal, another student pursuing his studies at the School of Oriental Studies, London, lends his opinion. Let us hear what he has to say.
In my opinion, the graduate visa has largely been perceived in a wrong way, as it is a time duration to explore professional avenues in the country post-education. However, it has been seen as a time where one can work in the country. But that's not the case, because even on the practical side, I haven't seen anyone secure a functional job in the country in less than 6 months of time. Now that the visa is valid for only 2 years and people take 6 months to 1 year just to navigate a functional job in the country, in the absence of this route would make scenario more dreary for the international student community, who not only bring a lot of investment to the country but rather bear a lot of financial burden as well, as they come from middle income countries mainly. And the absence of this route would definitely lead into their dissatisfaction.
Also, Sanam Arora suggests that the policy may be detrimental to the UK economy, as international students, especially Indian students, are an asset, bringing not only a certain economic boost but also facilitating vast information exchange.
I also know how critical it is for British universities. International students cross-subsidize the world-class research that happens on British campuses. They subsidize home students who, because there is this wider concern around funding, university funding in the UK. So the ability to have as many international students as we can on British campuses, including as many Indians as we can, is of paramount importance, both from an economic perspective for the UK. Higher education is one of the largest export sectors, the fourth or the fifth largest export sector for this country, but also for how important it is for both countries to be able to understand each other better. We're talking of a free trade agreement, for example, between both countries at the moment. It is so critical that as many Indian students can come to the UK and experience the UK as possible, and conversely also as many British students can go to India and experience and understand India and the complexities and the diversities and the varied nuances that exist in both countries. It is fundamental importance that we, given the global world we live in, and both governments, given the global world we live in, actually do so much more, rather than making international students part of the net migration statistics in the UK, rather than throwing them around as political footballs in an election year. I think it is high time that we really valued our Indian students, really valued our international students, and we at the NISAU, as part of our Fair Visa, Fair Chance campaign, will do everything we can to take your stories of success, of grit, of determination, of resilience, and of pure and utter achievement.
This was all for today. Watch this space for more content on student affairs in India. Do not forget to click on the subscribe button and like and share today's video. We will see you again tomorrow. Till then, stay safe.